What's up, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Scythe, and I originally had this video of Trove talking about the ramifications of what potentially could end up happening with Trove's future with Gardening 2.0. This was going to be a rant that I was going to have with the event tutorial video, but then I thought, you know what, let's just make them separate so that those of you that would be interested in hearing me ramble about this and say my opinions about the gardening and why lucky clovers are useless and all that stuff, you guys can tune into this, while all the people that just want to see how the event ends up playing out can end up sticking to that video. Okay, so just to put a little bit of context, that's why the video just kind of starts abruptly right here. So first of all, the reason why these lucky clovers are pretty much useless is because thankfully Crystal Gear, which trumps Stellar Gear any day of the week, is actually not governed by Magic Find. So you can get Crystal Gear as soon as you can end up going to U8 Geo Topside, and you can get a full set of Crystal 1 gear. It's going to be very easy to level up. Crystal 2 gear ends up unlocking or dropping, having a chance to drop when you get to U9, which isn't too bad. I mean, I'm rocking pretty high Magic Find, but it's not that bad to end up getting Crystal 2 because it's not governed by Magic Find, in that you can get a Crystal 1 with 0 Magic Find, but having more Magic Find is going to end up getting more crystals to drop, is essentially what I'm saying, right? So it is still affected by Magic Find, but it isn't. And because of it, it means that dragons in a sense are not really as required to get to the end game anymore. Obviously, having more dragons just gives you more basic attack and damage and stuff like that for sure. But the fact that you can kind of avoid that time-gated garbage of the game and just swap it over to the side means that you do have the option of getting yourself Crystal Gear and getting to the end game. And then U10, of course, is where Crystal 3 can drop, and I can vouch for the fact that Crystal 3 is extremely rare. I honestly wouldn't recommend the average player to even bother going for it. You're going to be just fine with a full set of Crystal 2. So that's why these are useless, is because you don't really need the Magic Find. I'm not saying you don't use them. I mean, if you really want to have the Magic Find, and if you want to waste your time grinding up these stupid plants just because you're already playing Trove anyways, then by all means, go right for it. But again, if you end up accidentally lasering it, there you go. That could be 5 hours of your life down the toilet. Like, this thing's at 5 out of 5. If I just lasered it right now, or accidentally flew down forgetting my passive ability with the Vanguard where I'll explode blocks on the ground, that's it. It would just be gone. You can't remedy it. I think it would be a lot better if they figured out a system where if we lasered it, the plant would go in our inventory and then we could place it back down, or just outright don't let us laser it until it's at 0 out of 5, you know? I think that would honestly be a better solution. But the gardening itself, I really dislike this feature. I think that it's absolutely stupid. Whoever came up with it, I don't think it's the existing devs, because like I said before, guys and gals, this was an update that was originally planned for U10, so this was back when they still had a whole team of people working on Trove, not necessarily the developers that we've got right now. And I'm not necessarily saying that they aren't responsible for this update. Obviously, they're putting this into the game because it's kind of a complete feature already, but I don't want this in the game. Like, it's really gross. It's more akin to a phone game than it is to an MMO. I guess it's right at home in Korean MMO games, but for something like this fast action-paced game, like, it doesn't make sense to put this in Trove. And honestly, the gardening as we have it right now is already fine. But why would they end up doing this? Why would they spend all of their time and effort remodeling the gardening? Well, obviously they're going to end up adding a bunch of new items through the Gardening 2.0 when it ends up actually coming into the game. We know for a fact there's going to be allies, there's going to be some mounts that you'll get out of it that are going to be exclusive. Obviously that's going to give us mastery, so mastery farmers will have to go for it, right? Problem is, it's boring content. And anytime they end up redefining or fixing anything in the game that doesn't honestly need fixing, it means that they're adding a paywall behind it. So we've already had the developers talk about this last year, where this gardening is going to essentially have cash shop written all over it. You're going to end up spending money to probably make the plants grow faster, or renew their fertilizer, or what have you. Who knows? It's going to be either you spend a lot of time wasted logging in and grinding them, or you probably just spend money and get past it that way, which essentially, again, you're going to end up getting a lot of mastery out of it. On top of that, the Gardening 2.0 I don't entirely disagree with, because what they ended up showing and what they ended up hinting at was that a lot of the essential resources of Trove will actually be attainable through gardening when Gardening 2.0 comes out. So golden souls, for example, could end up being very easy. The problem is that it's all based on this hourly clock, and this is just one starting default plant. So I'm wondering, are other ones going to end up taking less time? Are other ones going to take even more time? The trade-off is that if we can plant an infinite number of plants, then potentially that could actually be okay, because then you could start off with a small garden and then it could expand, and then obviously it would just become unmanageable at a certain point because of the amount of luck that you would have to imbue with them. Or maybe the other plants would all take different resources, meaning that it would have to be like a Farmville situation where you're trying to manage all of these different gardening aspects, which again is cool if that's what you're into, but not for a game like Trove. I feel that it's completely out of field. It's not something that players even want or are interested in. It's not that it's like a bad feature, it's just it doesn't belong in the game. It's the same as the geode caves. One of the biggest quotes that Merc always says, which I think is hilarious, is the developers were always one of the big key phrases that they would say about this whole geode update and the geode caves and stuff is, we wanted to do something that nobody else was doing. And then we always proceed to laugh, because it's like, there's a reason nobody wanted, there's a reason nobody else was doing something like this, because nobody wants it. Nobody likes the geode caves. You like it at first when you first go in there. It's like, oh, this is kind of interesting. It's new content. It's different. And then you end up actually finding out that it's just grindy and it's pay to win. And it's just, then eventually you just unsubscribe from it. And thank goodness the caves are a feature that you can just push all the way to the side and you never have to touch it. It's not mandatory unless you're a mastery farmer. Same with the gardening. I feel that it's going to be a feature that nobody's really going to end up using. Essentially the way that gardening works right now is you'll just plant down things and they'll take a certain amount of time to bloom, and then you'll harvest them, and then you just repeat the process. There's going to be fertilizer, water, and lava and stuff, and you're going to use sponges that you throw in the water or throw in the lava to end up getting a resource in order to end up fertilizing certain plants, so on and so forth. The gardening is already fine. It hasn't been changed since the alpha or beta version of the game, sure, whatever, but it works. It's weirdly complicated because the gardening as it stands right now is actually affected by light. And the way that light works in this game is you have to have no vertical blocks on top of the gardening for it to end up working, because it needs sunlight, which is weird that this game even has that level of depth. So these plants are probably going to end up having a lot of stuff like that as well. Now, I just, again, I strongly disagree with this. I don't like that they're doing something like this. It's not that I'm against change. Maybe it'll end up being really cool, but we all know it's gonna just be pay to win garbage. That's the thing. And this is just time gated trash, where the problem is that they're gonna hide mastery behind it, and then it's gonna be something that I'll have to grind. And that's where normally in the past, I wouldn't bat an eyelash to spending money to end up skipping through that content. Most of all, so that I could make videos for you guys to let you know, is this worth it? Is it something that you want to end up doing and investing your time into? More often than not, the answer was no. But the difference is that now I'm actually very, very reluctant to spend any money on Trove from here on into the future, because it's very unstable. We don't know what's going to happen with it. And again, just to kind of reiterate my point here with the whole U10 update, is all of the updates that they've promised us for 2019 are, again, updates that were already kind of finished when they had the full dev team. So technically speaking, we haven't seen any, like, while this content is new for us in game, it's not new as far as development is concerned. So we haven't seen anything brand new added to the game since the developers ended up getting laid off and since Game Ago ended up taking over. So that's where I would say that Trove's future is very rocky, and I'm not trying to get you guys down about it. Obviously, I still love this game, and I'm still going to continue playing it regardless. But because of it, it makes me reluctant to want to end up spending money. Just my own personal feelings towards it is just, who knows what's going to happen until we end up seeing some new, fresh content being added to the game with the new developer team. I'm just being very wary of stuff like that. But anyways, That was already a longer rant than I needed to go into, but I did want to talk about these things and kind of get these feelings off my chest and let you guys know my opinion on all of this. What's your guys' opinion? You know, let me know in the comments. I always love seeing the discussions from you guys and kind of taking feedback from you guys. It always really helps to, you know, keep me on point with where we're going with Trove and whether or not I'm crazy or not with my opinion about these things. And I know that I'm overly critical about this game, but how can you blame me? I love this game and I wish that it would do better, but they keep on making decisions like this that keep it from being better. Like, it's just, you know, it's kind of shady, it's kind of stupid, and it's essentially it's gardening. Like, it's boring. Why? I've got phone games that I can play that already end up doing this. You want to add gardening to the game? Add phone support so I can end up pulling up my phone to deal with my Trove gardening, not having to turn on my computer and waste my time logging into the game so that I can end up harvesting a bunch of stupid plants. Maybe the Gardening 2.0 will be great when it comes out, but as of right now, it's not looking too good. Thanks for watching though, everybody. Very much appreciate it. Again, take it to the comment section. If you want to say that I'm crazy, go right ahead. Again, I like hearing you guys' feedback. Either way, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, sub, hit that notification bell. And if you want to support me, you can always sponsor the YouTube channel or buy some of my real life merch in the description. Or you can check out the link to Gawkbox, which is actually a way you can donate to me for absolutely free. It's entirely up to you though. Sign on and stay epic, everybody.